Are you thinking about moving to Chattanooga? I get calls every day from people wanting to consider Chattanooga as a relocation option. There's so much to offer here. It's a beautiful city and it's a great fit for so many people. But let's be serious, it's not going to be a great fit for everybody. So before you get too far into your relocation journey, let's talk about 5 reasons why Chattanooga may not be the right fit for you. Reason number 1 is that Chattanooga is not considered a large city. Chattanooga is the 4th largest city in Tennessee, but honestly, compared to other parts of the country, that is really not saying very much. If you're coming from Los Angeles, Atlanta, even Nashville, or places like Charlotte, Chattanooga is going to feel really small compared to what you're used to. The city itself has a population of around 180,000 people, and even if you include the greater metropolitan region of greater Chattanooga, maybe even into northwest Georgia, we're barely tapping in at around 500,000. So compared to those larger cities, we're still extremely small. Things that you will not find here is 24/7 nightlife, giant skyscrapers, or even some of the major shopping and entertainment that you might be used to in a bigger area. So if these are things that are really important to you, especially at night, Chattanooga might be a little bit too quiet for your preference. Reason number 2 is public transportation, or better yet, lack thereof. If you're used to getting around on a public transit system, a light rail, a really reliable bus system, that's not really an option here. We don't have anything even close to comparable to New York, Chicago, or even Atlanta. Yes, we do have CARTA, but it's very limited in its routes, it's pretty sporadic in its availability, and you might have to walk really far from one bus pickup to the other. It's not going to be a super reliable source of transportation. If you are used to using a public transit system for your daily commute or even just general getting around activities, this is going to come as a surprise to you. Everyone pretty much has to have a car to get around here. It's really not a convenience. It's a necessity. So if you're relocating from a city where you rely on public transit for commuting, errands, or exploring, you're going to probably want to rethink your transportation options here in Chattanooga. Reason number 3 is the Chattanooga Airport. While we are already on the travel and transportation topic, we definitely have to cover the Chattanooga Airport as something that might be considered a negative to people, especially if you're coming from a larger area. Chattanooga does have its own airport, which adds a lot of convenience, but it is an extremely small airport, and the amount of direct flights out of Chattanooga is pretty lacking. So if you're used to something like LAX or Atlanta, there's not even going to be close to the amount of flights that come through here. At the time of this recording, really the only direct flight options that we have are to Atlanta, Dallas, Charlotte, Chicago, a couple Florida cities, and if you're flying Allegiant, there's an occasional direct flight to Las Vegas or to New York City. Pretty much if you're going anywhere else, you're going to have to go somewhere with a layover, most likely going to be in Dallas, Charlotte, or Atlanta. One option that a lot of people take is just driving directly to Nashville or Atlanta for some more flight options. It's going to be a hit or miss whether or not this is a better option for you, because even though you may have a more direct flight option, you're also going to have to factor in the time of travel to get to the airport. Both the Nashville and Atlanta airports are probably going to be about 2 hours, but remember that the Atlanta airport is one of the largest flight hubs in America, so the traffic getting into it is pretty significant. You might honestly be better off just flying from Chattanooga to Atlanta and then taking the flight from there. One last thing to consider about the airport is because it is a smaller scale and because there are fewer flights coming in, sometimes they are a little bit more expensive. Again, you'll have to weigh the pros and cons yourself about whether or not it's worth it to just drive direct to a larger airport so you have more direct flight options, or if you want to run the risk of flying direct from Chattanooga and having those stops in between, but it's definitely a big negative for people who are used to more direct flight options. Finally, reason number 5 is the seasonal allergies. This is another topic that I've mentioned several times, but that's because it is a really important one, because Chattanooga is consistently ranked one of the highest, worst places to live in the United States for seasonal allergies. The spring and the fall both have super high pollen counts and ragweed. If that is something that you're sensitive to, you might genuinely want to consider another area, because it is basically impossible to avoid. One of the things people love is all the trees and the plants and the natural beauty, but unfortunately that comes with the pollen. It's a beautiful place to be, but for allergy sufferers, it can be rough. Now that I've given you a bunch of reasons not to move here, I want to know what you think. Are any of these things deal breakers, or are all the positives that we have here in the area still enough reason for you to want to consider making the move? My name is Whitney Proctor. I'm a realtor with Real Broker in the greater Chattanooga and Cleveland, Tennessee area. If I haven't scared you off with this list and you're still wanting to consider Chattanooga for a relocation for you and your family, be sure to reach out to me in the contact information below. Like and subscribe for more local content.